You know, folks, there's something truly magical about a garden. At first glance, it might just look like a patch of earth with some green things growing out of it, but if you take a closer look, you'll see it's so much more than that. A garden is a living, breathing world of its own, full of stories, memories, and lessons waiting to be discovered. It's more than just dirt and plants. When you run your fingers through the soil, you can feel the life pulsing beneath the surface. Every seed you plant is a promise, every sprout a small miracle. The garden is a place where hope takes root and dreams slowly push their way toward the sun. It's a place where life grows, not just for the plants, but for the people who tend them. You watch as tiny seeds become sturdy stems, as leaves unfurl and flowers bloom, and you realize you're witnessing the quiet magic of growth and change. It's a reminder that with a little care and patience, amazing things can happen. And when you're working alongside your grandpa, well, it becomes something even more. It's not just about growing vegetables or flowers anymore. It's about growing together, side by side, sharing stories, laughter, and sometimes even a few quiet moments of reflection. My grandpa, he wasn't afraid of hard work. He'd roll up his sleeves, grab his old worn-out shovel and get right to it, no matter how hot the sun or how stubborn the weeds. He showed me that there's a kind of satisfaction you can only get from putting in the effort yourself, from seeing the results of your own two hands. He taught me that the best things in life are built, not bought. Whether it was a birdhouse, a raised garden bed, or a simple wooden bench, he believed that creating something with your own hands gave it a special kind of value. It wasn't just about saving money, it was about pride, creativity, and learning to solve problems as they came. And nowhere was that truer than in his garden. Every corner was filled with little projects we'd worked on together, handmade trellises, carefully constructed compost bins, and even a scarecrow that wore Grandpa's old hat. Each piece told a story, a memory of time spent together. We'd spend hours out there, him teaching me about tomatoes and peppers, showing me how to spot the first signs of ripening fruit, or how to gently tie up the vines so they wouldn't break under their own weight. He'd explain why some plants needed more sun, while others preferred the shade, and how every plant had its own needs and quirks. He showed me the right way to water and weed, how to be patient and gentle, and how to pay attention to the little details. He'd say, if you take care of the small things, the big things will take care of themselves. And I found that to be true, not just in the garden but in life as well. But the lessons went beyond the garden. As we worked, Grandpa would share stories from his own life, about growing up during tough times, about the importance of honesty and kindness, and about never giving up, even when things got hard. Those conversations stuck with me, shaping the way I see the world. He was teaching me about life, about resilience, patience, and the value of hard work. He taught me that sometimes things don't go as planned. A storm might ruin your crops or a plant might not grow the way you hoped, but that's no reason to give up. You just pick yourself up, learn from it, and try again. And some of the best times were when we built things together. There was something special about working side by side, measuring, sawing, and hammering, turning a pile of wood into something useful and lasting. It was teamwork, trust, and a whole lot of fun. Like the time we built a trellis. I remember how we planned it out together, choosing the right wood, measuring each piece, and making sure everything fit just right. It wasn't always easy. Sometimes we made mistakes and had to start over, but Grandpa always said that was part of the process. Now, a trellis might seem like just a simple thing, but let me tell you, it was a masterclass in hard work, patience, and the importance of a solid foundation. Just like life itself, you have to build it strong from the ground up, take your time, and never be afraid to get your hands dirty. In the end, it's not just about the plants you grow, but the memories you make and the lessons you carry with you, long after the season has passed. Grandpa always said, "Mike, the things we build together, they last longer than just wood and nails. They become memories." And he was right. That trellis, it wasn't just about supporting some climbing vines, it was about supporting each other, learning from each other, creating something we could both be proud of. Every cut we made, every nail we hammered, it was a shared experience. And those experiences, they stick with you. They become part of who you are. Now, some of you might be wondering, what exactly is a trellis? Well, it's basically a structure that provides support for climbing plants. Think tomatoes, cucumbers, even flowers like clematis. See, those plants, they want to reach for the sky, but they need a little help along the way. That's where the trellis comes in. It gives them something to grab onto, something to climb. And just like those plants need support, sometimes we do too. We need people in our lives who believe in us, who encourage us to grow and reach our full potential. People like Grandpa. The first step in building anything, whether it's a trellis or a skyscraper, is planning. Grandpa always said, measure twice, cut once. And he meant it. We spent a good hour with that tape measure, figuring out exactly how tall and wide we wanted our trellis. Grandpa would double-check every measurement, muttering to himself, "Gotta make sure it's right." It wasn't just about the numbers, though. It was about taking the time to think things through, to plan for every detail. Because when you're building something with your own two hands, you want to do it right. Next came the trip to the lumberyard. Now Grandpa, he wasn't one for fancy materials. He believed in using what was strong and reliable. "We need wood that's tough, Mike," he'd say, "wood that can stand up to the elements." We ended up choosing cedar. It's naturally resistant to rot and decay, perfect for outdoor projects. Grandpa ran his hand over the boards, nodding in approval. "Strong as an ox," he mumbled, and you know, he was right. That cedar, it was the real deal. Just like the lessons he was teaching me. They were built to last. Now, before we could start cutting and building, Grandpa laid down the law. "Safety first, Mike," he'd say, his voice firm. "These tools, they're not toys. You gotta respect them." He showed me how to use the saw safely, how to keep my fingers clear of the blade. He made me wear safety glasses even though I thought they looked, well, kinda goofy. "Your safety, that's the most important thing," he'd say. And he meant it. Because in the end, it didn't matter how great the trellis looked if someone got hurt building it. With the wood cut and ready to go, it was time to start building the frame of our trellis. Grandpa showed me how to use a level to make sure everything was straight and true. "A solid frame, Mike," he'd say. "That's the key to any good structure." He was talking about the trellis, but I knew he was also talking about life. We worked side by side, measuring, cutting and securing the pieces together. Each nail we hammered felt like we were building something special, something that would last. With the frame complete, it was time for the finishing touch, the lattice. This was the moment where the project really started to come alive. The frame was sturdy and well built, but it was the lattice that would give the trellis its character, its personality. As I picked up the first strip of wood, I could feel the anticipation building. Each piece had to be placed just so, and I knew that this step would make all the difference in the final look. This is the part that gives the trellis its signature look, the crisscrossing pattern that the plants can climb. Without the lattice, it's just a frame, but with it, the trellis becomes a living piece of art. The pattern isn't just for show, it's what allows the vines and flowers to weave their way upward, creating a tapestry of green and color over time. Every intersection, every angle matters. It's a design that's both functional and beautiful, and it's what transforms a simple structure into something truly special. Grandpa, he had a real eye for detail. He could spot a crooked strip from across the yard, and he never let anything slide. He'd walk around the project, squinting a little, running his fingers along the wood, making sure everything was just right. It wasn't about being a perfectionist for the sake of it. It was about pride in the work, about respecting the craft. He showed me how to space the lattice strips evenly, using a simple measuring stick he'd made years ago. "Consistency is key," he'd say, lining up each strip with care. He taught me to measure twice, cut once, and to always double-check my work. It was a lesson in patience as much as precision, how to make sure they were all lined up just right. He'd have me step back and look at the whole picture, then get up close to adjust the tiniest misalignment. Sometimes we'd spend extra minutes shifting a strip just a hair to the left or right, but he always said it was worth it. Those small adjustments, he believed, were what set a good project apart from a great one. Details matter, Mike, he'd say, his voice steady and sure. It's the little things that people notice even if they don't realize it. They're what make your work stand out. He'd share stories of projects he'd done in the past, times when a little extra effort made all the difference. They're what make the difference between a job done and a job done right. He'd point out the way the corners met, the smoothness of the finish, the symmetry of the pattern. To him, every detail was a reflection of the care and attention you put into your work. And you know, he was right. As I looked at the trellis taking shape, I realized how much those little things mattered. The even spacing, the clean lines, the careful placement, they all added up to something that felt solid, dependable, and beautiful. It wasn't just about building a structure, it was about building something we could both be proud of. Those little details, they might seem small, but they add up to something special. Each one is like a memory, a moment of care and attention that becomes part of the finished piece. When you run your hand over the wood, you can feel the effort that went into every inch. It's a reminder that quality is built one detail at a time. Just like all the little moments we shared building that trellis, every laugh, every story, every lesson, those are the details that matter most. In the end, it's not just about the trellis we built, but about the memories we created along the way, and that's what truly makes it special. As the sun began to set, the sky was painted in hues of orange and pink, casting a warm, gentle glow over the backyard. The air was filled with the soft sounds of evening, birds chirping their final songs, a gentle breeze rustling through the leaves, and the distant hum of life winding down for the day. It was the perfect backdrop for a moment of quiet reflection. We stood back, side by side, and admired our handiwork. The project that had started as a simple idea had grown into something tangible, something we could both be proud of. Our hands, still a little sore from the day's work, rested at our sides as we took in the sight before us. The trellis stood tall and proud, its fresh wood glowing softly in the fading light. Each joint, each carefully measured cut, was a testament to the hours we had spent together, measuring, sawing, and fitting the pieces just right. It was more than just a structure. It was a reflection of our effort and care. Ready to support whatever climbing plants we chose for it, the trellis seemed to promise new beginnings. We imagined the vines that would soon twist their way up, the flowers that would bloom, and the fruit that might one day hang from its sturdy frame. It was a blank canvas, waiting for life to take hold. But as I ran my hand along the smooth wood, I realized it was more than just a trellis. It was a symbol, a marker of the time we had spent together, the lessons learned and the memories made. Every nail, every knot in the wood held a story. It was a symbol of our bond, a quiet reminder that some of the strongest connections are built not with words, but with shared experiences. In the garden, away from the distractions of daily life, we found a space to connect, to laugh, and to learn from each other. The trellis stood as a testament to the power of working together. Each step of the process required patience, communication, and trust. There were moments of frustration, of course, misplaced screws, boards that didn't quite fit, but we figured it out, side by side. We learned to listen, to compromise, and to celebrate each small victory along the way. Grandpa put his arm around me and smiled, his eyes crinkling at the corners. It was a simple gesture, but it spoke volumes. In that moment, I felt a deep sense of belonging, of being seen and appreciated for who I was and what we had accomplished together. "Good work, Mike," he said, his voice filled with pride. "I'm proud of you." Those words meant more to me than I could ever express. And in that moment, standing there in the golden light, I realized that I had gained something far more valuable than woodworking skills. I knew I'd learned more than just how to build a trellis. I had learned about perseverance, about sticking with a task even when it got tough. I had learned about patience, about taking the time to do things right, and about the satisfaction that comes from seeing a project through to the end. Each moment spent sanding, measuring, and assembling taught me the value of hard work and the rewards it brings. I saw firsthand how patience and attention to detail could transform a pile of lumber into something beautiful and lasting. Most importantly, I learned about the unbreakable bond between a grandfather and his grandson. The laughter we shared, the stories Grandpa told as we worked, and the quiet moments of understanding, all of these became threads in the fabric of our relationship, weaving us closer together. That trellis, it still stands in my grandpa's garden to this day. Over the years, it has become a part of the landscape, supporting new growth each season. It has weathered storms and seen countless sunrises and sunsets, just as we have. And every time I see it, I am transported back to that evening. The smell of fresh-cut wood, the sound of Grandpa's laughter, the feeling of accomplishment and connection. The trellis is a living memory, a reminder of what we built together. I'm reminded of those special times we shared, building something meaningful, something that would last. Just like the memories we created, the trellis stands as a testament to love, hard work, and the enduring power of family. And as the sun sets each day, casting its golden light over the garden, I know that those moments will stay with